Sign language, or the non-speaking teaching method, is very expensive. Sign language is not only about the hand, but also the body and the expression. Because of its complexity, few people teach sign language. With the introduction of AL, all things will change. Traditional concept of teachers is that teaching is a necessary step for learning. It is incorrectly assumed that teaching is more important than learning. We know children can learn eating and sleeping without being taught. However, we believe every ounce of teaching can lead to learning.
Researchers find proteins can regulate plant growth. They can help plant roots adapt to climate. Understanding this process helps researchers find that some grains can live in drought. In the future, this can be applied to crops across the world, so they can adapt to drought.
If you're dealing with bugs and the landlord isn't addressing the issue, there are steps you can take. You can report the problem to local government authorities, who can send professionals to handle it. Alternatively, tenants have the option to tackle the issue themselves with appropriate methods and tools. This proactive approach ensures that tenants can maintain a healthy and pest-free living environment.
ID is required to open a bank account. You can deposit money into the new account. If you want to withdraw money, you can go to the ATM. Withdrawing money means to remove money from a bank account. To face growth of trade, it is deemed necessary to remedy this lack of adequate currency.
A healthy school setting gives all students the best chance to learn and grow. Vaccines are very important to this effort. They protect children from getting and spreading diseases that can make them very sick. For this reason, we require children aged 2 months to 18 years old who are entering or attending child care, public school, or private school be vaccinated against certain diseases. The bony shell of a sea turtle can actually sense when something touches it. A series of thin nerves run along the shell and detect pressure changes associated with touch. The nerves do not contain pain receptors, so scientists do not think sea turtles feel pain when touched on the shell. But these thin nerves could transmit information to other parts of the sea turtle's body. In addition, researchers and scuba divers have observed sea turtles respond to the stimulation of being touched on the skin of their head and their flippers. Gender-type toy play leads to the promotion of different skills in boys and girls, with girls practicing communal roles and boys practicing agentic roles. This guides children's activities in accordance with gender stereotypes and thus restricts their individual development potential. Whereas play with stereotypically masculine toys, such as blocks and toy soldiers, is generally associated with the development of spatial skills and mere aggressive behavior. Playing with stereotypically feminine toys, such as baby dolls and stuffed animals, is associated with more nurturing behavior. Playing with popular dolls, such as fashion Barbies, is ever associated with a narrowing of perceived career options in girls. In general, strongly gender-typed toys are less supportive of the development of children's physical, cognitive, and artistic skills than are gender-neutral or moderately gender-typed toys. Therefore, playing predominantly with same gender-typed toys limits the development of children's action repertoires in accordance with gender stereotypes, and thus contributes to the perpetuation of gender stereotypes.
The global market for electrical and electronic equipment continues to expand, while the lifespan of many products becomes shorter. The current global production of e-waste is estimated to be 25 million tons per year, with most e-waste being produced in Europe, the United States, and Australasia. In Europe, e-waste is increasing at 3 to 5% a year, almost 3 times faster than the total waste stream. Developing countries are also expected to triple their e-waste production over the next 5 years. Recycling electronic waste such as old computers, TVs, and monitors is a daunting challenge considering how much technology we all use today. The challenge didn't deter IU students, who persuaded the IT Services Department to launch its Electronic Waste Collection Days program. On numerous dates throughout the year, students, faculty, and staff can drop off their old equipment to be completely recycled. Nothing ends up in a landfill. Collection Days netted more than £650,000 of waste in 2010.
Big country snake removal responded to a home in Albany, Texas, after a man who was trying to restore his cable climbed under the house and saw some snakes. He saw a few snakes and quickly crawled out, said a post on Big Country Snake Removal's Facebook page. We arrived around lunchtime, and as soon as I crawled under, I could immediately see that there was far more than a few, the post said. The company ended up removing rattlesnakes from beneath the house. School has different ways to let parents know how they provide education services. One of the common ways is open days. Open days are good chances for parents to ask what they want to know. These are times when parents can know what works for their children and what they will be doing at school. The research by Will and colleagues dressed 6-month-old babies in different colored outfits that did not necessarily match their gender. So the participants had no way of knowing if the baby was in fact a boy or a girl. Sometimes the infant was dressed in blue and was called Adam, and sometimes it was dressed in pink and was called Bait. There were 3 toys in the room: a train boy stereotype, a doll girl stereotype, and a fish neutral. This study found that babies dressed in blue and thought to be boys were more likely to be given the train. Babies in pink or girls were more likely to be given the doll, and more people smiled at Bait than at Adam. Many people face serious financial crisis when they are only 20-30 years old. This is because they do not really pay attention to their daily spending and has poured their spending on buying. This will lead to them paying piling credit card loan and monthly payments. Although they can have student loan, people should try to minimize unnecessary expenditures while focusing more on savings.
Number of staff who wish to turn up and do a simple job and go home is relatively happy if they believe their work is secure. However, any employee who wants to acquire more varied and responsible duties will not feel satisfied for long staying with the same and boring job. People want to keep working hard only if there are opportunities for promotion to a more challenging job. If this opportunity does not exist, they are most likely to be demotivated.
Fibers suitable for clothing have been made for the first time from the wheat protein gluten. The fibers are as strong and soft as wool and silk. However, they are 30 times cheaper. Narendra Reddy and Yiki Yang, who produced the fibers at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. He says that because they are biodegradable, they might be used in biomedical applications such as surgical sutures.
Early in 1938, Mario de Andrade, the municipal secretary of culture here, dispatched a 4-member folklore research mission to the northeastern hinterlands of Brazil on a similar mission. His intention was to record as much music as possible as quickly as possible, before encroaching influences like radio and cinema began transforming the region's distinctive culture. Traveling by truck, horse, and donkey, they recorded whoever and whatever seemed to be interesting. piano carriers, cowboys, beggars, voodoo priests, quarry workers, fishermen, dance troupes, and even children at play. But the Brazilian missions collection ended up languishing in vaults here. Many countries suffering a shortage of scholars of new energy, especially engineers about new energy. With the climate change, the money distributed in energy research will double. Become an engineer not only means more opportunities in their career, but will gain more money in their research. As a very cold wind swept across the sand dunes in the early hours, the time had come for the last concert of this year's festival in the desert. It is held annually near Essakane, an oasis some 40 miles northwest of Timbuktu, the ancient city on the Niger River. Reaching it tests endurance, with miles of impermanent sand tracks to negotiate. The reward of navigating this rough terrain comes in the form of a 3-day feast of music and dance.
Historical records, coins, and other date-bearing objects can help, if they exist. But even prehistoric sites contain records written in nature's hand. The series of strata in an archaeological dig enables an excavator to date recovered objects relatively, if not absolutely. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, they can often go beyond simple stratigraphy. For example, tree rings, dendrochronology, literally tree time, dates wooden artifacts by matching their ring patterns to known records, which, in some areas of the world, span several thousand years. Engineers, in particular, are much needed to develop greener technologies. The energy sector has a fantastic skills shortage at all levels. Not only are there some good career in engineering, but there's a lot of money going into the research side, too. With the pressure of climate change, funding from the Research Council has probably doubled. Beginning in the 1990s, foreign aid had begun to slowly improve. Scrutiny by the news media shamed many developed countries into curbing their bad practices. Today, the projects of organizations like the World Bank are meticulously inspected by watchdog groups. Although the system is far from perfect, it is certainly more transparent than it was when foreign aid routinely helped ruthless dictators stay in power.